1-0. Dallas leading it. 10:25 to go, second period. Mark Stahl takes it deep. Centers for Vesey. He scores! What a goal by Jimmy Vesey! Around the boards, Rangers turn it quickly. Hedel back in. He scores! Filipino! 4 straight games. Rangers lead 2-1.
Oh boy, aren't those just the best things to hear? What's up, guys? It's, your favorite Pigeon Bobby, and I'm back here, and I'm lone wolfing it. Had a couple things planned, so my tweets, I guess, were a little clickbaity, but hopefully we'll be able to do what I wanted to originally do today in the future, and it'll be something definitely you guys will enjoy. It'll be real interesting. But today I just wanted to do a little, quick recap on some stuff that was going on, and primarily focus a little bit on the Rangers, mostly because I'm by myself, and it's what I know the most about currently. So little stuff, housekeeping around the league. One thing that's kind of surprised me a little bit, and a little bit not so surprising, is that Michael Grabner's been an absolute beast shorthanded for the Arizona Coyotes, along with Brad Richardson. I'm not too privy, I guess, on Brad Richardson's play, other than in like NHL 19 or something like that. But the two of them have been on the ice for 7 goals for and just 1 goal against in roughly 52 minutes of 5-on-4 shorthanded play. I don't know who's got the majority of the goals in that split of 7 goals for. We saw it on the Rangers. You saw it a little bit on the Devils, and who else did Grabner play for? I think he played for the Isles. The guy's a PK machine, and it doesn't surprise. It shouldn't surprise anybody that he is just a beast. The Coyotes are getting better. They are, and the fact that he's able to produce like that and be shorthanded, and he's that go-to guy. It's great, and I love to see that, because I did like him on the Rangers. I was bummed about him going to the Devils at the trade deadline last year. Got great return for him, and he did subsequently nothing on the Devils, which is awesome, because I don't like the Devils. And him out in Arizona with Stepan and the bunch of the guys that are out there that I appreciate as hockey players. I couldn't be happier for him. That's a good thing. On the bad side, switching it up a little bit, Brooks Orpik underwent another surgery. He'll be out 4 to 6 weeks. Vinny Trocheck, that my heart goes out to that guy, because he's one of the better players in the league on a struggling Florida team, and he had a gruesome ankle break, basically. He just had surgery to repair a fractured ankle, and he's out indefinitely, but he's expected to return this year, which is great. It's awesome. Again, there's another guy who is a great hockey player. You hear nothing but good things about him, and you want him to be, good to go. I don't care who you are. If you wish injuries on other players, you're a scumbag. That's just how it goes. Connor McDavid has hit his 100-goal mark, and it's funny enough, it's the first game in that Ken Hitchcock is the head coach of the Oilers. Oh wait, I didn't mention that. Yeah, Tom McClellan got fired. Which at one point is it the players? At what point is the coaching? And at what point is it Peter Chiarelli bending the team over a barrel and making all the wrong moves for him? Cough Taylor Hall for Adam Larson, basically. But back to McDavid, he's a stud. Took him 230 games to reach 100 goals, but on the other side of that, he has 180 assists already. It's funny, he joined this prestigious group of players that consisted of Lemieux and Gretzky, and of course those are the two bigger names that pop into my mind. But it's just incredible, incredible names to go with an incredible player. I mean, he's going to be a name you'll see in every single record book ever. Or, he's a generational player. He's one of a kind. He's going to be doing stuff like that. And it's great to see someone succeed in such a shitty area, because the fact that the Oilers aren't able to produce like that produce consistently with him on the team, he's, in my opinion, the best player in the league. It blows my mind. But on to the next one, Joe Thornton. Not only did he hit his career milestone. Oh yeah, career milestone. 400 goals this year. He not netted, but captured his 1,033rd assist, tying Mario Lemieux for 11th most in NHL history. Again, this guy he's a beast. He's going to be a name that hopefully is remembered for a while. And he's another one for, the record books. The Bruins are getting hit left and right with injuries. I think McAvoy is still technically hurt. I think he was doing non-contact practice. Char is out 4 to 6 weeks after a knee injury. Bergeron just had a surgery, I think, and is out another 4 to 6 weeks. I mean, they still have Pasta and Marchand and, the other, role guys that they've gotten who are still up there producing, but that's a huge hit. I mean, it's their number one center and I think he's their number one D, in Chara at least. If not, it's him and McAvoy, I guess. I don't know. But they're out for a while, and it's a little rough. I mean, everybody's getting hurt in the NHL. November is apparently a horrible month for the league, because Vasilevsky is out with a fractured foot, and I believe it's Peter Budaj is their goalie. I'm probably really wrong, but they're still winning without Vaz. And does that surprise you? It shouldn't, because the Bolts are sick. And I mean, it sucks. I think they called up. Okay, I was wrong. It's not Budaj anymore. I'm an idiot. It's Louis Domingue or Domingue. I don't know how you pronounce his last name. Either way, ex-Coyotes goalie. I think he bounced around a little bit before landing in Tampa. And they called up Edward Pasquale, which I don't know if he's played any games yet. I know Domingue has, obviously. No, Pasquale has not played yet. I assume he will shortly. I don't think, Domingue is going to be playing every single game coming up. But yeah, it's a huge hit. Cam Fowler, broken orbital bone, cheekbone, and jaw. I think he took a puck to the face. Close slap shot. Ouch. That's unpleasant. Any other? Oh, okay. Last injury. I'm pretty sure. Last two injuries. Quickie got hurt not too long ago, and then following short after, their backup Jack Campbell also got hurt. So Kings are in a rough spot. Cal Peterson has been brought up by the Kings, and I don't remember who they have for that third backup, or technically fourth, as their goalie tandem now, and that's just a rough situation overall. I mean, your coach just gets fired. You're in a rough spot. You kind of bounce back, and then you get hit with two huge goaltending injuries. That doesn't help at all. And last but not least, Pavel Buchnevich broke his thumb. He'll be out, 4 to 6 weeks. Probably a little bit shorter. Probably on the foreside. I mean, it's a thumb. I feel like that's not that hard to rehab. But I've been wrong. In other news, Mikko Rantanen is a house. He has to be, a household name in the league. If he's not, I don't understand it. This guy is incredible. He's the first player this year to reach the 30-point mark with 7 goals and 23 assists, at the time of hitting the mark. He's playing top minutes with Nathan McKinnon. And I mean, last year he was unreal, and he's basically picking right up where he left off. Last year he netted 84 points, 29 goals, 55 assists. This year he's already at almost the halfway point for that assist mark, with 24, and he's got 8 goals. And he had 29 goals. Or I already said he had 29 goals last year. I mean, this year, the pace he's at and all is well. If he doesn't get hurt and, doesn't hit a slump or anything, this kid's slated to, have a above 90-point season easily. That I think I would be comfortable putting money down on a 90+ point season. This kid is unreal. And I mean, playing with, Nathan McKinnon, who's got, top 3, top 5 fastest player in the league, hands like sweet butter. It's incredible. Watching those two play, and they're both 22 and 23 or 24 years old. Renton is in his 3rd year, I believe, 4th year, or 4th full year, or 3rd full year technically. Yeah, no, this kid's on the up and up, and he's going to continue to do well. Absolutely outstanding player. If you don't know who he is, I highly recommend you go watch some of his highlight reels or something like that, because it's something you should definitely go about and watch. So now, what brings me to the main portion of this episode, and it's probably going to be a little shorter. We'll see. We're already at that 12-ish minute mark before I do some edits, but the Rangers are a conundrum this year. At the beginning, or actually, we'll rewind even farther than that. Last year, coming into this year, right around the trade deadline, I believe it was trade deadline, but either way, last year the management released a letter that we're rebuilding. Okay, that's fine. We sold a lot of big pieces at the trade deadline, and we were gearing up on picks. Okay, that's fine. Got a new coach. Elaine Vigneault out. David Quinn, you're in. Awesome. I'm pretty sure they, or Lindy Ruff stayed around. I don't remember about the assistant coaches. But we come into preseason. They have like a subpar preseason. I don't know if they quite went 500 or not. But they're shocking people. They're shocking myself. They're shocking a lot of the, media people. I mean, I listen to the Garden Faithful podcast every single episode, since I've started following them for like the past couple months. And right now, the Rangers are in a playoff spot. Did I see this coming? Absolutely not. I did not. I figured they would be a spoiler, but I figured they'd be like 500 or less. And, they're just that team. It's like, all right, it's the last couple of games. They're going to be competitive, but, we shouldn't expect too much out of them. But they could still, steal a win. It's happening. They're sitting under Columbus. If they beat the Islanders tonight, which please, for the love of Christ, beat the Islanders. I can't take it. They lose them. I mean, in Brooklyn almost every single time, but yeah, or every time they've lost in Brooklyn. I'm not too sure what their record is. I know it stinks, and they really got to do something about it. I don't know, but they play them tonight. It's Wednesday night, night before Thanksgiving. I'm recording this. But right now they're sitting in that second Metropolitan spot with 11 wins, 8 losses, and 2 OT, showings basically. 24 points. I don't get it. They're above the Caps. They're above the Penguins, which actually the Penguins are the last in the East. You got to figure, they'll figure something out eventually. That team's just not going to go away. But nobody expected them to be here at this point in the season, you know? So I am hopeful. I really am. Heedle has really picked it up. He's had a goal in the last 3 games. Brett Howden is just crushing it. Kreider, no surprises. I want him to be captain, and that was actually, mentioned on the Garden Faithful podcast. Another, shameless shout out for them. But the team looks good right now, and I don't know how much longer it's gonna last. And I hope, it goes a little bit farther. If they were to sneak into like that 8th playoff spot, I wouldn't be mad, but I wouldn't want them to just miss it. At this point, it's either you make the playoffs or eventually you just, for lack of, a better term, you tank, kind of. So this is how I see it. It's you run up to the trade deadline, you have great players, like now players that teams could use. And as much as I don't want them to go, you got Kreider, who I think should be signing a long-term deal at the end of the next year, and hopefully getting that captaincy. I think he's the man for the job. But on the other side, someone throws the house kind of for Kreider. Who says you can't take a couple extra looks at that? See what you could do with it. Kevin Hayes has not looked too shabby. He's got 13 points on the season. Mika Zibanejad, no surprises here, 17 points. Brett Howden's got 12. I think, and I'll look it up in the runnings for rookies. He's not up there. I think he's definitely overshadowed by Pedersen, but I think his name is in the top 10. Let's see. But I mean, a lot of, me in particular, I had no idea what to expect of him. I didn't really pay attention to him during the offseason, or not the offseason, the preseason. Obviously, I was paying attention more to the Filipinos and the Elias Andersons, and even Vinny Lettieri. He had a great, showing in preseason. But when I saw that he made the team over Elias, I was a little shocked. Mostly because I didn't really pay attention to him. I was like, oh, he didn't do too much. Obviously, I was wrong. But now looking at it, I've got the stats up in front of me. Brett Howden is 3rd for, rookies. Obviously, Pedersen's up top with 12 goals, 7 assists. Colin White of the Ottawa Senators has 6 goals and 6 assists. And Brett Howden has 4 goals, 8 assists. It's a 3-way tie for second between Colin White, Brett Howden, and Jesperi Kotkaniemi. I'm always going to butcher that name. It's never going to change. It's a good year for, rookies. It really is. And obviously he's going to, burn through that first rookie year because he's definitely playing outside of 26 games this year. It's incredible. I don't understand it. I love it. It's a fun time. I do still get upset, as I should. Well, as I think I should, which I probably shouldn't, based on this year. When there are games that they should win, or and they blow it, or even games where they go into overtime. At that point, I'd rather either have the win or just the loss. For the Rangers, I don't see the point in having, getting that 1 point for a tie. Cool. I get it. If they were, that cup contending team that they were in 2014 or something like that, yeah, I understand. We want all the points we can get. If, you get inched out, you get inched out. It sucks, but it happens. But this year, it's win or lose. There's no in between, really. I would love to see them win. If they have a semi-consistent winning season, awesome. That's great. It shows that The guys that we had on the team are better than what was expected by basically the entirety of the league. And David Quinn's working, which I think right out the gate, a lot of people saw that his way of doing things was definitely a way that the players could get behind and respond, in the best possible way to. You saw it. He's not afraid to bench guys like right out the gate. He goes, "Oh, Shattenkirk, you're making $6.5 million a year, something like that. Ride the pine," and he scratched him. Which, if that was AV, or I feel like even Torts, just going back on the last couple of Rangers coaches, they're playing through that shit streak that they have. They're not gonna, say, "Hey, we're gonna give you the night off. Just take it easy." You haven't been playing your best. If you think you have been, you might want to look at something, and I'll show you where. But I want you to be want this to be an understanding between the two. If you're not playing your best, and it's detrimental to the team, you're gonna sit. And I like that. I really do. And you saw Shattenkirk have a great bounce back game the game after he came back from being scratched. Obviously it doesn't always happen the best for some, like the Buchnevich sitting. It didn't, translate as well the next game he was back. That's all right. Obviously you want to see him respond in a similar way to Shattenkirk. Shattenkirk came back, had like a goal and assist, and was the first star of the game. It was a really good game for him. But which is still kind of a younger guy in terms of experience, and he'll get there. I'm more than confident that he will. Eventually, turn the page and start, producing like everybody expects him to. But I love what I'm seeing. Basically, it's very nice to know that even though my team doesn't have there's never in my recent memory, basically since Yager, there's never been a superstar on the Rangers, and they've always been good. Lundqvist, yes, obviously, but players, we've never had the 80, 90 point player that I can ever remember besides Yager, and he's one of the best guys to ever play the game, and he was also on 12,000 teams. But it's nice to know that even though it's a team of young guys, I think the average age is like 26 and a half, something like that. So everybody's a year and a half older than I am for, lack of doing math. And they're playing great. Actually, they also just traded for Ryan Strome. They traded away Ryan Spooner. Spooner wasn't doing too much, and apparently Edmonton wanted a little bit more speed. A lot of people say that this is a bad trade kind of for the Rangers. Ryan Strome was originally drafted in the first round, can't remember the overall, by the Islanders, and they're like, "Oh, they're bringing him back to New York. That's going to work out well." No, it's a whole different system. It's a different coach. The Islanders stunk then. In my opinion, they're still not the best. The Islanders, when Strome left, were all over the place. You had the usual issues that they had. And then he went to Edmonton, and Edmonton, besides that one quick playoff run that they did, they're not good. And it blows. It has to just boggle everybody's mind, because you have the best player in the world on your team, and how you haven't been able to, draft around. And they had like 7 first-round draft picks in 5 years or something like that. Something absurd, and that's really bad math. But I don't understand how they haven't been able to win. Yeah, they haven't had the right goaltender. Cool, that happens a lot. But you see, and I will argue this to my death, Corey Crawford's not that good. And Chicago had a string of good draft picks, and they crushed it and got 3 cups in 5 years. Or 6 years. I'm sorry. You can't make the argument that it's just a goaltender. Obviously, yeah, goaltenders play a huge part. Crawford, is better, but that Chicago Blackhawks team for those 3 cup runs were insane. They had top tier talent through great draft picks and a few good trades. And I mean, the Oilers had so many draft picks. Yeah, Yakupov was a bust. Puljujärvi hasn't really been working out for them. Taylor Hall, you traded away for a subpar, I mean, slightly above average defenseman in Adam Larson. But now, Hall is a Hart winner, which I still don't think he should have won last year. But the guy he was always a good player. It was just that Edmonton is a life sucker, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, that it doesn't, it doesn't make sense as to why the Oilers are still so bad after all of those picks, and what they traded away. They traded away Eberle. Eberle was great. He was another first round pick. Yakupov's gone. I mean, but he didn't do much, which was really disappointing because he was great in the OHL. Hall's gone. Who else was a first round pick? Nugent Hopkins is still there. He's a great player, but is he on the second line probably? Draisaitl, great pick. Works great with McDavid. But between those 3 players, you have a top tier talent. And with all the other pieces that you can throw in there, you think that they'd be able to do it. But Cirelli, whatever, finds a way to screw himself over with every single trade he makes, every move. It's horrible. I'm not saying that the Spooner trade was the best. It might help out. Who knows? He wasn't obviously working in New York, so they figured they change the scenery might help. Who knows? It doesn't make any sense. But back to the Rangers, it's great to see what they're doing. I really, really enjoy it. I'm curious to see what happens, and basically just leading up to the trade deadline. It's post-trade deadline, unless they're still in, say, that second Metro spot or floating around the high Metros, maybe even the wild cards, and they make the playoffs, then I'll really, really, really be interested. Other than that, I would love to see what they're doing up until the trade deadline, the moves they make, if they make any, which I would assume they would. They should still carry on as if this is a rebuild. I don't think they need to, clear house like a lot of people thought they might be doing, ditching some top tier guys for, those juicy first round picks. I think one guy might get moved. Unfortunately, I think it's going to be my guy. I think Zook is probably going to be on his way out, which, as much as I hate to see it, I know he'll definitely be able to help, somebody who is looking for just a little bit of a playmaker who has a great shot. He could run a power play, too, from a half wall. And it really, really be a help to, whatever team he lands on. And it sucks because I just got his jersey, and I'm never buying a jersey again. I really am not. A lot of players are surprising me on the Rangers. Tony DeAngelo looks great, really. He's all over the ice, very fast, good puck mover. Hopefully he keeps it up. He's got 7 points, in 13 games played. He's on and off being sat. But that's because they're running I think 7 or 8 defensemen on the team. What I would like to see, a pickup from Shattenkirk. I think being the player that he is, the caliber of defenseman that he was in St. Louis, I think, his output should definitely be better. Currently, the Rangers are rolling through with 8 defensemen. So I'd like to see it, shifted to 7. I don't see the reason why Adam McQuaid should be, in the NHL for the Rangers. He's a great face masher and a do anything for your team guy. But he's just, and it's not like he's played a lot, but he gets in the way of players really, really shining. Same thing with Mark Stahl. I think Mark Stahl will probably be on his way out at the trade deadline. I think I speak for the rest of Rangers fans when I say I do hope it happens. But he's going to be one of those guys. He's been around it. He's a seasoned vet. He'll probably go to someone not necessarily who's a cup contender, but definitely in the race. And maybe even Brendan Smith. Brendan Smith's been playing really good for the Rangers. Think he is at how many games played? He's played in 18 games, 5 points. So it's not necessarily on production, but he's been playing great. I wouldn't say great. That might be a little bit of an overstep. But he's been playing very well defensively, which is nice. And he's a tougher guy, which honestly, when you have Brendan Smith, I don't know why you necessarily need McQuaid. I mean, McQuaid's slightly bigger, but he's also slower. They look good. I'm happy. I really am. Tonight they play the Islanders, and then on Friday, I believe, yes, Friday they play Philly. Oh my God, wow, they have a lot of games in a very short amount of time. So they play the 21st, so tonight, 23rd, 24th, 26th, 29th, and then the 1st. First and then second, and then they have a week off, like 6 days off until they play the Panthers on the 8th. That's going to be a tough stretch, only because it's so many games in such a relatively short amount of time. And the tough teams, I mean, Islanders tonight, must win. Flyers Friday, huge matinee game. Then they play Washington, back-to-back Ottawa games, home and at Ottawa and at home. And then Montreal. So Ottawa comes to them, and then they go to Ottawa, then they go to Montreal. So it's it's not necessarily tough competition-wise. I mean, the first few games, absolutely. But I mean, in this, Ottawa's been playing well. You see Matt Duchene is really bounced back this year. He's got, I think, 27 points, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see. Matt Duchene is 5th on the list, 27 points, 10 goals, 17 assists. And Mark Stone is also playing very well. 9 goals, 15 assists, both of them in contract years too. So that's if they keep producing, that could be a real thought, tickler for Ottawa's management and what they do with those 2 contracts, because obviously Duchene's not a bad player. He just was in a bad position last year, and that's basically just how it goes. But I think I'll just, that's all about I have to say for the Rangers. They just gotta keep doing what they're doing, and obviously, as I've said before, I'm real excited to see what they do leading up to the deadline, and what kind of comes out of that. General standing stuff. Toronto is crushing it. They have an impeccable away record. 9-1 so far, which is very, very surprising. Not a lot of people always have. Not a lot of teams generally have a good away record. And then home, they're 6-5, which that kind of is a little iffy. I'm not too sure what the issue might be there, where they're almost 500 at home, but I'm sure they'll end up figuring it out. That the team is incredible. Marner is 4th in the league with 4 points, with 6 goals and 22 assists. I mean, he's just a great player. I mean, he's playing with Pat Marleau, and I actually don't know who else is on their line. But I mean, they have a great young core, and obviously that maybe even Tavares Might be Marlon Tavares. I'm not too sure. But they're sick. Tampa right behind them. I mean, overall, right now in the league, Nashville is 15-5. Toronto's 15-6. Tampa's 14-6. And Buffalo is 13-6. Now, I wish I had somebody to talk about this with because and I don't want to jinx it. And I don't have any wood next to me. Actually, I do. Is this the year Buffalo makes the playoffs finally? Who knows? Casey Middlestat showing up. Jack Eichel is healthy. Again, knock on wood. He's playing great. Okposo playing great. I don't remember who's their goalie. Is it Carter Hutton? Could be wrong. But they are playing phenomenal. Let's see if I could get their stats real fast. Let's see. Jackie Eichel, 24 points. Jeff Skinner, 22 points. Pominville, 17 points. I mean, they're playing great. Even Connor Sheary's got 11. That's not bad going into a new team, new system. Dahlin's got 10 points, which you love to see it. Middlestat's got 7. And yeah, Carter Hutton is their starter, and he's 9-6. And Linus Ullmark is 4-0. They're doing fantastic. And I mean, as I've said in the previous, episodes in the past, and it is the team that has struggled for quite some time. And I really am happy to see him, coming out on top. And I'm not going to attribute it to them getting Dahlin. I mean, Dahlin's been a good player, but he hasn't been, an X factor, I don't think. I mean, I think their X factor obviously is Eichel. Their 21-year-old captain. He is 22-year-old captain. He is incredible. I mean, and even though he only has 5 goals, it's going to change. This kid has a rocket of a shot. He's another guy that is that Ovechkin spot, one-timer, incredible release shooter. So he'll figure it out. Speaking of Ovechkin style, Patrick Laine is also off the rails sick this year, obviously. I mean, he just scored a hat trick in his last game. He currently has 11 goals and 3 assists. So, obviously, you'd like to see more production of him, but he's also on a team that just they're not going anywhere really. They're sitting pretty in second in the Central. So I think that's just about gonna do it for me today. I mean, I don't want to sit here and go on for about an hour just by myself. It's not that fun. As always, subscribe, rate, and review the podcast. I'd love to know what you're hearing. Follow us on Twitter at Podcast Pigeons. Follow us on Instagram at The Podcast Pigeons. And like us on Facebook at facebook.com/Podcast Pigeons. I really appreciate everything, that you guys do when it comes to listening to the pod. And if a few of you reach out in that meantime, that's awesome too. I really do appreciate it. I hope everybody has a great Thanksgiving. If you don't do it, we'll have a great Thursday, and we'll probably be back next week, and we'll see if what we can rope up for the next episode. So I really appreciate you taking the time to listen to this, and I will catch you later. See ya.